The ambush came at dawn. I should have seen it, should have recognized the too quiet forest, the ravens circling overhead, the way the morning mist clung wrong to the valley floor. But I'd been focused on speed, on getting my remaining warriors back to Crescent territory before Blood Moon reinforcements arrived. We'd lost badly at the Pass of Broken Fangs, my father's grand alliance crumbling the moment real blood was spilled, and retreat was the only option that didn't end in slaughter. Move faster, I hissed to the wolves behind me. 23 warriors, all that remained of the 50 I'd led into battle. Exhausted, wounded, desperate. We're 2 miles from the border. The first arrow took Marcus in the throat. He went down without a sound, shifting midfall, his wolf form crashing into the underbrush. Ambush! I screamed, but it was already too late. They came from everywhere, Blood Moon warriors erupting from concealed positions, cutting off our escape routes with brutal efficiency. This wasn't a chance encounter. This was planned, precise. A trap I'd led my wolves straight into. I shifted instantly, my wolf form better suited for combat, and threw myself at the nearest enemy. My teeth found flesh, tore, but there were too many. For every Blood Moon warrior I engaged, 2 more appeared. Around me, my pack was being systematically overwhelmed, disarmed, forced into submission. Then I saw him, Commander Cale Thornridge, in human form, standing at the center of the chaos like a storm given shape. His blade dripped red, his cold amber eyes tracking every movement, and when his gaze locked on me, I felt the recognition spike through him. The strategist, he said, voice cutting through the sounds of combat. Sarah Ashwind. He moved like lightning. I tried to dodge, to shift back to human form where I'd have hands for my blade, but he was faster. His hand closed around my throat mid-transformation, slamming me against a tree hard enough to rattle my skull. Silver glinted, a collar, lined with runes that burned even before he locked it around my neck. The silver bit into my skin, and my wolf recoiled, trapped. I couldn't shift, couldn't access my strength. The collar was designed for exactly this, neutralizing a captured wolf. Call them off, Cale said, his face inches from mine. Order your warriors to stand down, or I'll kill them one by one while you watch. I looked past him at the carnage. My wolves were losing. Half were already subdued, the rest bleeding and desperate. We couldn't win this. I'd failed them by leading them into this trap, and continuing would only mean more death. Stand down. I choked out, the collar making speech painful. Crescent Moon, stand down. The fighting stopped in ragged increments. My warriors dropped their weapons, shifted back to human form, and allowed themselves to be bound. The defeat tasted like ash and copper, but at least they were alive. Cale's hand remained on my throat, his thumb pressing against my racing pulse. Smart choice. He studied me with an intensity that made my skin prickle, though not smart enough to avoid the trap. Did you really think we wouldn't track your retreat? That I wouldn't position forces along every possible escape route? You wanted us to retreat. I realized, the tactical error crystallizing with sickening clarity. The pass wasn't the objective. You let us break through just enough to think we'd escaped. Then hunted you like the prey you are. His smile was blade sharp. You're a decent strategist, Sarah Ashwind. But you're young, and you make mistakes when you're desperate. Like leading your warriors through the Whispering Valley, neutral ground, yes, but impossible to defend. He released my throat, stepped back. Bind her separately. This one's valuable. Rough hands grabbed my arms, yanked them behind my back. Iron shackles closed around my wrists, the metal cold and unforgiving. I watched as my warriors were herded together, counted. 18 still alive. 5 dead in the ambush, including Marcus, who'd been with me since childhood. What are you going to do with them? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Ransom them back to Crescent Moon. Eventually. Cale circled me slowly, assessing. But you're different. The Alpha's daughter, his chief strategist. The wolf responsible for 3 of my destroyed supply lines, 2 successful ambushes, and the raid that cost us our southern stronghold. He stopped in front of me. You're not just valuable. You're leverage. And I'm going to use every ounce of it. He grabbed my arm, his grip unbreakable, and started dragging me away from my warriors. Where are you taking me? I struggled against his hold, the collar burning with each movement. My warriors. Your warriors will be treated according to convention. Fed, housed, held for ransom. His pace didn't slow. You, on the other hand, are coming with me to Blood Moon Fortress. My council will want to see the prize we've caught. His fingers tightened. And your father will want to know exactly what condition you're in when we send our demands. The march back to Blood Moon territory took hours. Kale kept me at the front of the column, a trophy on display, the collar a visible symbol of my defeat. My feet bled. My throat burned from the silver. But worse than the physical pain was the knowledge that I'd failed my warriors, failed my strategy, failed to see the trap until it had closed around us. By the time we reached Blood Moon Fortress, the sun was setting, painting the stone walls blood red. Kale hauled me through the gates, past staring guards and curious wolves, and straight into the heart of the stronghold. The iron collar bit into my throat as he dragged me before his war council. "This," he announced, his grip crushing my shoulder, "is Sarah Ashwind, daughter of the Crescent Moon Alpha, their most promising strategist." His fingers dug deeper, forcing me to my knees on the cold stone. "And as of tonight, our leverage." The Blood Moon Council chamber reeked of wood smoke and triumph. 12 wolves in human form circled the table, their eyes gleaming with predatory satisfaction. We'd lost. My father's alliance had shattered at the pass of Broken Fangs, and I'd been stupid enough to lead the retreat, straight into Thornridge's trap. "She's smaller than I expected," one of them said. "Beta Voss," I recognized him from intelligence reports. "For all the damage she's done." My jaw clenched. 3 of their supply lines. 2 ambushes. 1 perfectly executed raid that had cost them their southern stronghold. All mine. Size is irrelevant. Kale's voice was granite and winter wind. "She knows every defensive position between here and Crescent territory. Every supply route. Every weakness." He circled me slowly, boots echoing. "And she's going to tell us everything." I lifted my chin, meeting his gaze for the first time since capture. Mistake. The mate bond slammed into me like a breaking dam, searing, undeniable, wrong. My wolf lurched forward in my chest, recognition blazing through every nerve. No, not him. Kale's eyes widened fractionally. His nostrils flared. Then his expression shuttered into cold rage, and I knew he'd felt it too. "Chain her in the lower cells," he said, voice carefully empty. "No one speaks to her without my direct authorization." His hand released my shoulder like I'd burned him. "And someone find out if Crescent Moon knows we have her yet. I want to know exactly how much she's worth before we send terms." The bond twisted in my chest. A fishhook lodged behind my sternum, pulling toward him even as Voss hauled me to my feet. Kale turned away, dismissing me with his posture, but I caught the rigidity in his spine, the white-knuckled grip on the table's edge. The greatest enemy of my pack. The wolf who'd killed 17 of our warriors in single combat. The commander who'd burned 3 of our villages and left the survivors to winter starvation. My mate. The cell door slammed shut with a finality that echoed in my bones. 3 days. 3 days of iron and silence and the constant, gnawing pull of a bond one couldn't sever. The collar prevented shifting, and the silver-threaded chains kept me weak, perpetually hovering on the edge of transformation without release. My wolf paced frantically inside my skin, desperate for him, for the mate she recognized even as my mind recoiled. Footsteps on the stays. My pulse spiked before I could control it. Kale entered alone, carrying a water skin and a plate of bread and meat. He set them just inside the bars, close enough to reach, far enough that I'd have to crawl. The power play was obvious and infuriating. "Eat," he said. "Give me the terms." My voice rasped from disuse. "What does Blood Moon want for my release?" "Who said anything about release?" He leaned against the stone wall, arms crossed. In the torchlight, his features were all harsh angles, strong jaw, prominent cheekbones, eyes like cold amber. He was broader than my father, taller than any Crescent warrior. Built for violence. "You're a war prize, Sarah. The daughter of the Alpha who killed my sister." The accusation hit like a physical blow. My father didn't. Personally? No. His voice dropped to something deadly quiet. But her scouting party was slaughtered on Crescent land. During a sanctioned patrol. Your pack claimed ignorance while my sister's blood soaked into your territory. He pushed off the wall, approached the bars. "So forgive me if I don't prioritize your comfort." The bond flared hot and desperate, urging me toward him, seeking comfort in the very wolf who'd just named me enemy. I pressed back against the wall, fighting it. "I see you feel it too," Kale said softly. "The bond. There is no bond." The lie tasted like ash. "No." He crouched, bringing himself to eye level. close enough that I could smell him, pine and snow and something darker, something that made my wolf whine with need. Then why is your pulse racing? Why does your scent change every time I'm near? His gaze dragged over me, clinical and devastating. Why are you trembling? Because you're my captor. I forced the words through gritted teeth. Because I'm chained in your dungeon like an animal. Because I'm your mate, and your wolf doesn't care about the war. He stood abruptly, putting distance between us. But I do. I care that your father's decisions killed people I loved. I care that your strategies cost me good warriors. I care that Crescent Moon has bled Blood Moon territory for 5 years, and now I finally have something they want back. Then send your terms, I spat. Stop playing games. I sent them yesterday. His smile was blade sharp. Your father rejected them. Apparently, a strategist's daughter isn't worth the reparations I demanded. He paused at the cell door. He suggested I keep you. Said you'd gotten too ambitious anyway, questioning his authority. Guess he figures losing you solves 2 problems. The words gutted me more efficiently than any knife. I'd known my father saw me as a tool. But this, of course, Kale continued. He also threatened to burn Blood Moon territory to ash if I harmed you. Very protective, for someone who won't pay your ransom. He opened the door. Eat. You'll need your strength. For what? For surviving. He glanced back, expression unreadable. Because if your father won't take you back, you're mine now. My prisoner, my responsibility, my problem to solve. The bond pulsed at the word mine, and I hated the part of me that responded to it. And I haven't decided yet whether keeping you alive serves Blood Moon's interests. The door closed. The lock turned. And I was alone with the impossible truth. My mate wanted me dead. My pack didn't want me back. And the bond between us was growing stronger with every passing hour. I didn't touch the food. But I thought about his sister, about the scouting party, about all the intelligence I'd gathered that never mentioned Blood Moon deaths on our land, about my father's convenient gaps in reports, his insistence that Blood Moon struck first, always first, about the possibility that I'd been fighting the wrong war all along. The bond woke me before dawn, pulling insistent and painful. Something was wrong. I lurched upright, chains rattling, and felt it, Kale's pain, sharp and bright, somewhere above me in the fortress. My wolf snarled, demanding I go to him. Protect him. The instinct was overwhelming and completely useless. I was chained in a cell, helpless, while my mate, not my mate, my enemy. But the distinction was getting harder to maintain. Footsteps thundered overhead. Shouting. The clash of steel. My heart hammered against my ribs as the fortress erupted into chaos. A raid. Someone was attacking Blood Moon. The cell door crashed open. Not Kale, Beta Voss, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. On your feet, he snarled, unlocking my chains with shaking hands. We're moving you. Moving me where? But I was already standing, every instinct screaming to find Kale, to ensure he was. Doesn't matter. Commander's orders. If the fortress falls, you don't fall with it. He grabbed my arm, hauling me toward the stairs. You're too valuable. Valuable. The word rang hollow. My father wouldn't pay my ransom, but he'd attack Blood Moon to prevent them from using me? None of it made sense. We emerged into carnage. The Great Hall was a battlefield, Crescent Moon warriors in their distinctive silver armor clashing with Blood Moon defenders. I caught a glimpse of my father's beater, Marcus, driving a blade through a young wolf's chest, and my stomach turned. This way, Voss hissed, dragging me toward a side passage. Then I saw him. Kale, fighting 3 Crescent warriors at once, his blade a silver blur. Blood soaked his left side, but his movements were still precise, still lethal. He ducked under a strike, came up inside his attacker's guard, and opened the wolf's throat with brutal efficiency. The bond screamed at me to help him, to fight beside him, even though these were my pack, my people. One of the warriors saw me. Marcus. His eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed with purpose. He disengaged from his opponent and started toward me, sword raised. The traitor's daughter, he called out. Your father sends his regards. Not a rescue. An execution. The realization crystallized in the instant before Marcus lunged. My father hadn't attacked to save me. He'd attacked to silence me. The prisoner who knew too much, who'd seen the gaps in his reports, who might testify about Blood Moon scouting parties slaughtered on Crescent land. I jerked sideways, pulling Voss off balance. Marcus's blade missed my throat by inches, caught Voss's shoulder instead. The beater went down hard, cursing. Behind you! I screamed at Kale. He spun, saw Marcus advancing on me, and his expression transformed into something feral. The bond exploded between us, possessive, protective, absolute. He moved like lightning, crossing the hall in 3 strides, and caught Marcus's second strike on his blade. You don't, Kale growled, touch her. They fought with the viciousness of old enemies. Marcus was good, better than good. But Kale fought like a wolf defending his mate, and there was no defense against that kind of rage. He drove Marcus back, step by step, until the crescent beater's shoulders hit the wall. Please, Marcus gasped. She's one of ours. She's mine. Kale's blade found Marcus's heart. And you came here to kill her. Marcus slid down the wall, eyes already glazing. Around us, the battle was turning. Blood Moon reinforcements poured into the hall, and the Crescent Raiders were falling back, retreating toward the shattered gates. Kale turned to me, chest heaving, covered in blood, some his, most not. The bond pulsed between us, demanding acknowledgement, demanding more. You warned me, he said, like he couldn't quite believe it. He was going to kill you. My voice shook. I couldn't. Your own pack. He stepped closer, examining me for injuries even as his warriors secured the hall. They came here to kill you. To silence me. The truth tasted bitter, because I know things. About the scouting party. About your sister. I met his eyes. I think my father had them killed. I think he wanted the war, needed the war, and Blood Moon retaliation gave him the excuse to. To consolidate power, Kale finished. To unite Crescent Moon against a common enemy. His jaw clenched. My sister died for politics. I'm sorry. Inadequate words for an immeasurable loss. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. He studied me for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. Then, Voss, get a healer, and find her proper quarters, not a cell. To me, we need to talk. But first, he swayed slightly, and I saw the extent of the wound in his side, the blood still flowing. You're hurt. I reached for him without thinking, the bond overriding caution. Let me see. His hand caught mine, warm and calloused. You're a prisoner who just saved my life and identified a conspiracy. I'm a commander who doesn't know if I can trust you. But he didn't let go. This is going to complicate everything. It already has. I looked at our joined hands, at the blood and the bond and the impossible situation we'd found ourselves in. What happens now? Now. Kale's thumb brushed over my knuckles, a gesture so gentle it hurt. Now we figure out if we're mates or enemies. Because we can't be both. But as he led me through the devastated hall, past the bodies of wolves I'd once called allies, I wondered if maybe we'd always been both. If maybe that was the only truth that mattered. They gave me a room in the Eastern Tower, still a prisoner, but one with windows and a bed and clean clothes that didn't reek of dungeon stone. A guard outside my door, but no chains, no collar. A tenuous freedom that could be revoked with a word. Kale came at nightfall, his wound bound and his expression unreadable. Your father retreated, he said without preamble. Left his dead, took his survivors, and sent no terms. He leaned against the door frame, maintaining careful distance. He also declared you a traitor to Crescent Moon. Stripped your name. Said any wolf who shelters you is an enemy of the pack. I'd expected it, but the reality still hit like a blow. Peckless. The worst fate for a wolf besides death. My hands trembled as I pressed them flat against my thighs. I see. I kept my voice level through sheer will. So I'm truly your prisoner now. No pact to negotiate for my release. No value beyond. Beyond what? Intelligence I'd already compromised by warning him? A bond neither of us wanted. Beyond being my mate, Kale said quietly. The word hung between us, unavoidable and terrifying. You don't want a mate from an enemy pack. I forced myself to meet his eyes. Especially not the daughter of the alpha who killed your sister. No, he agreed. I don't. He pushed off the door frame, entered the room properly. I want my sister back. I want 5 years of war erased. I want to stop burying warriors who died for territory we never even wanted. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that I could feel the bond stretching taut between us. But I can't have any of those things. What I have is you, and a bond that's going to drive us both insane if we keep fighting it. So what do you suggest? The words came out sharper than intended. I submit. Accept the bond with the wolf who threatened to kill me a week ago. I suggest we talk. He He pulled a chair from the corner, straddled it backwards. Really talk. About your father's war. About what you know. About whether we can end this before more wolves die for one alpha's ambition. I studied him, this wolf I'd been taught to hate, who'd been taught to hate me. The bond made it hard to see him objectively, but I tried. Why would you trust anything I tell you? Because you warned me about Marcus when you could have let him kill me. Because you've been asking questions about the scouting party, which means some part of you suspected the truth. His eyes held mine, steady and intent. Because I've been researching you since you arrived. Every report, every account. You're a strategist, Sarah, not a fanatic. You fight with intelligence, not blind loyalty. That's why you're still alive. Also because I'm your mate. That's why I'm here instead of sending Voss. He said it plainly, without apology. The bond complicates everything. But it also means I can feel your emotions, your truth. And right now, I feel, he paused, considering, grief, rage, and underneath it, relief. Like part of you is glad your father declared you traitor. He wasn't wrong. I'd been my father's weapon for so long, his perfect strategist daughter, never questioning his orders even when they felt wrong. Being cut loose hurt, but it also freed me from the weight of his expectations, his manipulations. Tell me about your sister, I said instead of confirming his reading. What was her name? Cale's expression softened with old pain. Lyra. She was 23. Brilliant tracker, terrible singer, always sneaking extra desserts from the kitchens. His voice roughened. She was supposed to be surveying migration patterns near the border. Routine scouting, no combat expected. When we found her party, all 7 wolves were dead. Throats torn out, bodies mutilated. Left deliberately visible, meant to be found. Where exactly? I leaned forward. What date? He told me. I closed my eyes, matching it against intelligence reports I'd memoized, troop movements I'd planned. We had warriors in that area. My father sent me to survey defensive positions 2 days before your sister died. The pieces aligned with sickening clarity. He told me Blood Moon had been making aggressive moves, that we needed to scout your patrol routes. I reported back with locations, timing, numbers. And he used that intelligence to position an ambush. Cale's hands curled into fists. 7 dead scouts, and the perfect justification for war. I helped him kill your sister. The words scraped my throat raw. I didn't know, but I gave him everything he needed. You were following orders. He was your alpha. Cale's voice was harder now, but not aimed at me. He used you. Used your loyalty and your skills to manufacture a war. He stood abruptly, paced to the window. Do you know how many warriors I've lost trying to avenge Lyra? How many villages burned? How many families destroyed? All because your father wanted to expand territory and needed an enemy to unite against. The weight of it crushed down on me. All that death, all that suffering, built on a lie I'd helped construct. I can't undo it. Can't bring them back. No. He turned back to face me. But you can help me end it. Give me everything you know about Crescent Moon's defenses, strategies, supply lines. Help me apply enough pressure that your father has to negotiate peace. You want me to betray my pack completely. Your pack betrayed you first. His voice was cold fact. They came here to kill you. Your father declared you traitor. You have no pack, Sarah. Just a bond you didn't choose and a war you helped start without meaning to. He crossed back to me, crouched so we were eye level. I'm offering you a chance to end it. To stop being a weapon and start being. He stopped. Being what? The bond pulled tight, aching. Mine. The word was quiet, dangerous. My mate. My equal. Part of Blood Moon, if you choose it. But first, his hand lifted, hesitated, then touched my face with devastating gentleness. First you have to choose. The bond might be fate, but what we do with it isn't. I won't force you. Won't claim you while you're my prisoner. You need to want this, want me, enough to turn against everything you've known. My breath caught. His thumb traced my cheekbone, and the bond sang between us, urging me closer. But his eyes held steady, waiting, giving me space to decide. If I help you, I said slowly, give you intelligence against Crescent Moon, I'll have blood on my hands. More blood. You'll have peace on your hands. His touch dropped away. A chance to save the wolves still living instead of mourning the ones already lost. He stood. Think about it. I'll send food, and Voss will be outside if you need anything. Tomorrow we can. I'll do it. The decision crystallized with sudden clarity. I'll give you everything I know. Help you end this war. On one condition. Kale went very still. What condition? When it's over, when my father surrenders or is defeated. I stood to face him properly. You let me decide about the bond. Not immediately. Not while I'm grateful or traumatized or dependent. After. When I'm free to choose clearly. Something flickered in his expression. Hurt, perhaps, or fear. But he nodded. Agreed. First we end the war. Then you choose freely. He moved toward the door, paused. For what it's worth, Sarah, I hope you choose me. But I understand if you don't. He left before I could respond, before I could tell him that the hardest part wasn't choosing him. It was believing I deserved the choice at all. We worked through the night. I gave him everything, every defensive position, every supply route, every weakness in my father's strategy. Kale listened with sharp attention, asking precise questions, filling in gaps with his own intelligence. Voss joined us, then his strategic advisors, and together we mapped out a campaign designed not for conquest but for pressure. Cut supply lines here, blockade there, apply force at 3 critical points until Crescent Moon had no choice but to negotiate. This could work, Voss said, studying the maps. If we move quickly, before he can reinforce these positions. He'll reinforce anyway, I interrupted. My father knows I'll talk. He'll anticipate this. I traced a secondary route on the map. But he doesn't know about the eastern approach. It's barely possible, considered too dangerous for troop movements. If you send a small, elite force here while he's distracted by the main assault, we can breach his inner defenses. Kale's eyes met mine across the table. That's brilliant. And vicious. It's practical. But I couldn't quite meet his gaze. We were planning to invade my home, possibly kill wolves I'd grown up with. The necessity didn't make it easier. The meeting continued past dawn, past midday, until my voice was hoarse and my hands shook from exhaustion. Finally, Kale dismissed everyone except me. Get some rest, he said, rolling up the maps. We move in 3 days. That gives you time to. He stopped. To prepare. To betray everyone I've ever known, you mean? I rubbed my eyes. I'm not naive, Kale. I know what I'm doing. Do you? He leaned against the table, arms crossed. Because once we execute this plan, there's no going back. Your father will know you helped. Every wolf in Crescent Moon will know. You'll be a traitor. Yes. I stood abruptly. You think I don't understand that? I'm condemning myself. But I'm also stopping a war that should never have started, that's killed wolves on both sides for politics and territory and won Alpha's pride. My voice cracked. I gave your sister's killers their intelligence. I don't get to walk away clean. I get to do the right thing for once and live with the consequences. Kale moved toward me, then stopped himself. The bond stretched taut between us, urging contact, comfort. For what it's worth, you're the bravest wolf I've ever met. I'm terrified. That's why it's brave. He did close the distance then, his hands settling on my shoulders. I meant what I said. After this is over, you're free. Free to choose the bond or reject it. Free to stay in Blood Moon or go rogue. Whatever you need. His thumbs brushed over my collarbones, a touch so gentle it made my chest ache. But until then, you're under my protection. No one touches you. No one threatens you. You're mine to defend, even from yourself. I'm a prisoner playing at being a mate. The words were bitter. You're a wolf trying to survive an impossible situation. He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. And I'm a wolf trying not to fall in love with his enemy while she helps him win a war. His admission stunned us both. So we're equally fucked, Sarah. At least we can be fucked together. A laugh escaped me, half hysterical. You have a terrible sense of timing. Terrible sense of everything when it comes to you. His forehead dropped to mine, and the bond pulsed warm and desperate between us. 3 days. We finish this, then we figure out what the hell we are to each other. Deal. Deal. I let myself lean into him, just for a moment, accepting the comfort even knowing it might be temporary. But Kale, if this goes wrong, if I get your wolves killed, then we die trying to end a war. His arms came around me, solid and warm. Better than dying in one. The assault began at dawn on the 3rd day. I watched from the walls as Blood Moon forces engaged Crescent Moon defenders at the primary choke points, exactly as planned. My father's banners flew over the defensive positions I'd helped design, filled with warriors I'd trained beside. And I was here, on the enemy side, hoping they'd lose. Kale stood beside me, armored and ready. He'd lead the Eastern Strike Force personally, a small team of his best warriors, designed to slip through the dangerous pass while my father focused on the main assault. Last chance, he said quietly. You could stay here. Let me execute the plan without you. I shook my head. I'm coming with you. I know the terrain, and if something goes wrong, you'll be in the middle of combat against your former pack. His hand found mine, squeezed. They'll try to kill you, Sarah. I know. I squeezed back. I'm still coming. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Stay close to me. Follow my signals. And if I tell you to run, I won't. If I tell you to run, he continued as if I hadn't spoken, you run. The bond's strong enough now that I'll be distracted if you're in danger. Distracted gets me killed. His eyes held mine, fierce and golden. So you stay alive. For both of us. Understood. Understood. Though we both knew I wouldn't abandon him. The bond wouldn't allow it, and neither would I. The strike force moved out in silence. 12 wolves including Kale and me, the minimum needed for the breach. We took the eastern approach as planned, picking our way through narrow mountain passes that threatened to crumble under our feet. It took hours, grueling hours where one wrong step meant death, but we made it through. Crescent Moon's inner defenses appeared below us, vulnerable from this angle, exactly as I'd predicted. My stomach churned with guilt and grim satisfaction. Positions, Kale ordered quietly. His wolves spread out with practiced efficiency, preparing for the descent. To me, you sure about this? No. I checked my blade, the weapon Kale had given me before we left. But I'm doing it anyway. His hand caught my face, turning me toward him. For a moment I thought he might kiss me, could see the desire in his eyes, feel the bond urging us together. But he just pressed his forehead to mine, a gesture of solidarity and promise. After, he said. When this is done. We'll figure it out then. After, I agreed. Then we descended into battle. The breach was clean at first, Kale's wolves overwhelming the minimal guard on the inner wall, securing the gate before alarms could sound. But then a patrol spotted us, and everything erupted into chaos. I fought beside Kale, our movements synchronizing through the bond, each of us covering the other's weak points. It was intimate and brutal, this dance of violence, and some part of me recognized how perfectly we fit together as partners. Then I saw him, my father, Alpha Marcus Ashwind, emerging from the command center with his personal guard. His eyes found me across the courtyard, and his expression transformed from shock to cold rage. Traitor! His voice boomed across the battle. You dare return with these animals? I dare stop your war. I shouted back. Around us, warriors on both sides paused, recognizing the confrontation. You killed innocent scouts to start this. Manipulated your own pack. How many wolves died for your ambition, father? Wolves die in war. He strode toward me, his guard flanking him. That's the nature of strength. But you're weak. Always were. Too soft, too questioning. I should have drowned you at birth like the runt you are. The words should have hurt. Once, they would have devastated me. But standing here, with Kale at my back and the truth finally spoken aloud, I felt only pity. You're finished, I told him. Blood Moon has cut your supply lines, blockaded your trade routes, breached your inner defenses. You can't win this, but you can end it. Surrender now, negotiate peace, and stop wasting lives on pride. Never. He shifted then, his wolf erupting from human form, a massive grey beast with silver markings, built for dominance. I'll kill you myself before I surrender to Blood Moon's scum. He lunged. Kale met him, his own shift instantaneous, and the two alphas collided with earth-shaking force. Around us, the battle resumed, Blood Moon pressing their advantage, Crescent Moon defending desperately. But my focus was on the fight before me, on Kale struggling against my father's superior size. The bond screamed at me to help him, but my father was too strong, too experienced. If I interfered, I'd only distract Kale, give my father an opening. My father's jaws closed on Kale's shoulder, driving him down. Blood sprayed. Through the bond, I felt Kale's pain like it was my own, sharp and overwhelming. No, I shifted without conscious thought, my wolf surging forward, and threw myself at my father. I wasn't strong enough to beat him, never had been. But I was fast, and I knew his fighting style, his tells. I ducked under his strike, went for his hind leg, and felt my teeth sink into muscle. He howled, turned on me with murderous intent. Up close, he was massive, terrifying. This was my alpha, my father, the wolf I'd spent my life trying to please. And he was going to kill me. Then Kale was there, recovered and furious, driving into my father's side with enough force to shatter ribs. The two alphas rolled across the courtyard, all teeth and claws and desperate violence. I scrambled back, blood in my mouth, my father's blood, and watched as Kale forced him down. Yield. Kale snarled, his jaws at my father's throat. It's over. Around us, Crescent Moon warriors had stopped fighting. Their alpha was beaten, their defenses breached. Continuing meant slaughter. My father shifted back to human form, bleeding and broken beneath Kale's wolf. I'll never. You'll yield, or I'll rip out your throat and deal with your beater instead. Kale's voice was cold even through the wolf's growl. Choose. My father's eyes found mine across the courtyard. I stood in half-shift, neither human nor wolf, covered in his blood and fighting beside his greatest enemy. The ultimate betrayal. His lips pulled back in a snarl. I yield, he spat. Blood Moon wins. The words echoed across the courtyard. Slowly, weapons lowered. The battle ended not with a final clash but with exhaustion and relief, wolves on both sides recognizing that the war was finally, impossibly, over. Kale shifted back to human form, keeping his hand on my father's chest. Here are my terms, he said, his voice carrying to every wolf present. Crescent Moon yields the disputed territories and pays reparations for the scouting party massacre. Alpha Ashwin steps down and submits to trial for war crimes. In exchange, Blood Moon offers peace and protection to all Crescent wolves who wish to integrate into our pack. His eyes found mine, including those your alpha cast out. My father's face purpled with rage. You can't, I'm alpha. You're defeated. Kale stood, leaving my father in the dirt. And frankly, your pack deserves better. He gestured to Voss. Take him. Make sure he's secure. As Blood Moon warriors moved to restrain my father, Kale walked toward me. He was covered in blood and wounds, limping slightly from the damage to his shoulder, but his eyes were steady on mine. You bit your own father, he said when he reached me. He was going to kill you. I shifted fully back to human form, suddenly aware of my nakedness, the blood coating my skin. I couldn't, the bond. I know. His hand came up, cupped my face. You saved my life. Again. His thumb brushed over my lips, where my father's blood still stained. How are you still standing? I don't know. Exhaustion crashed over me, the adrenaline draining away. Kale, what happens now? Now. He glanced around the courtyard, at the mixed crowd of Blood Moon and Crescent wolves, at the devastation, at the fragile beginning of peace. Now we rebuild. Start negotiations. Figure out how to integrate two packs that have hated each other for 5 years. His focus returned to me. And you choose. Choose. The bond. Me. Whether you want to be part of Blood Moon or strike out on your own. His hand dropped away, leaving cold space between us. I promised you freedom after the war ended. The war's over, Sarah. So choose. Every wolf in the courtyard was watching us now, sensing the tension. The bond pulled tight between us, urging me toward him, but Kale stood still, giving me space. He'd kept his promise. Given me everything he'd offered. Protection, alliance, a chance to end the war. And now he was giving me the freedom to walk away, even though I could feel through the bond how much he wanted me to stay. I looked at him, this wolf who'd been my enemy, my captor, my mate. Who'd threatened me, protected me, fought beside me. Who'd honored his word even when it cost him. Who'd given me choices when I'd been powerless. I choose you, I said clearly, loud enough for every witness to hear. I choose Blood Moon. I choose my mate. The bond exploded between us, joy and relief and possessive certainty. Kale closed the distance in 2 strides and kissed me, fierce and claiming and desperate. I kissed back with everything I had, 5 years of war and 3 weeks of tension finally breaking into something that felt like coming home. When we finally broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. You're sure? He asked quietly, just for me. Because once I claim you properly, once we complete the bond, there's no going back. You'll be mine, I'll be yours, permanently. I'm sure. I touched his face, his jaw, committing him to memory. I was never going to choose anything else. You know that, right? I hoped. His smile was crooked, vulnerable. But you deserve the choice. Well, I choose you, Cale Thornridge. I kissed him again, softer this time. My mate. My commander. My second chance at doing something right. Around us, Blood Moon wolves started cheering, the sound building into a roar of approval. Even some of the Crescent wolves joined in, recognizing the bond, the legitimacy of a mate claim that transcended pack politics. But all I could focus on was Cale, the wolf who'd seen me at my worst and my best, who'd given me consequences and chances in equal measure, who'd become mine the moment the bond snapped into place, even when we'd both tried to fight it. Take me home, I said against his lips. Already there, he murmured back. You've been home since the moment I caught you. The claiming ceremony happened 3 days later, once the immediate chaos had settled. Traditionally, it should have been private, just mates and the bond, no witnesses needed. But this was political as much as personal, a statement that Blood Moon and Crescent Moon could unite through us. So we stood before both packs in the Great Hall, Cale in his ceremonial armor and me in borrowed formal clothes, and let them witness. The ceremony itself was simple. Cale's hand in mine, our wrists bound together with silver cord, the ritual words spoken by his beater. Do you claim this wolf as your mate? Voss asked Cale. I do. Cale's eyes never left mine. In blood and bond, in war and peace, I claim Sarah Ashwind as my mate, my equal, my heart. Do you accept this claim? Voss turned to me. I could feel the weight of every gaze. Blood Moon wolves curious and welcoming, Crescent wolves wary but hopeful. My father was absent, locked in a cell awaiting trial, but his beater Marcus stood in the crowd, watching with unreadable eyes. I do. I squeezed Cale's hand. In blood and bond, in war and peace, I accept Cale Thornridge as my mate, my equal, my home. Then by the authority of Blood Moon Pack, I recognize this bond. Voss untied the cord. You are mated. May your bond bring strength to both packs. The hall erupted into cheers. Cale pulled me close, kissed me properly, and the bond settled into place, complete, permanent, unbreakable. I could feel him now, really feel him, his emotions as clear as my own. Relief. Love. A fierce, protective pride that made my chest ache. Hello, mate, he murmured against my lips. Hello yourself. I grinned, giddy with it, with him, with the bond, with the impossible fact that we'd survived. What happens now? Now. He tucked me against his side, facing our combined packs. Now we rebuild. Together. And I spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. I won't. I leaned into him, let him support my weight. But you might. I'm a terrible strategist when I'm not trying to kill you. Guess you'll just have to direct that strategic mind toward keeping me alive instead. His arm tightened around me. Think you can manage that? I thought about the war we'd ended, the peace we'd built, the bond we'd chosen despite every reason not to. Thought about Cale's steady presence beside me, the future we'd fight for together. Yeah, I said softly. I think I can manage that. 6 months later, the Joint Pack Council met in Blood Moon's Great Hall, but half the seats belonged to Crescent Moon wolves now. Integration had been messy, painful, complicated, but it was working. Slowly, carefully, we were building something new from the ashes of the war. I sat at Cale's right hand, official position of mate and advisor. The former Crescent wolves still looked at me with complicated emotions. Traitor, savior, bridge between packs. I'd accepted that I'd never be simple to them, never be fully forgiven or fully embraced. But I'd earned their respect, and that was enough. The southern trade routes are established, I reported to the council. We're seeing regular commerce between former Crescent and Blood Moon territories. Some resistance from older wolves, but the younger generation is adapting well. And the disputed territories. That was Marcus, my father's former beater, now integrated into Blood Moon's leadership. We'd never be friends, but we'd found a way to work together. Redistricted and shared, Cale answered. Any pack member can hunt there now, regardless of origin. We're seeing mixed hunting parties, which is progress. The meeting continued, dealing with the 1,000 small complications of merging two packs. When it finally ended, Cale and I escaped to our private quarters. The same Eastern Tower room where I'd first agreed to betray my father, now transformed into a home. Tired? Cale asked, pulling me into his arms. Exhausted. I buried my face in his chest, breathing him in. Why is peace so much harder than war? Because peace requires trust, and trust takes time. His hand stroked down my back. But we're getting there. Today Marcus actually smiled at one of my jokes. That wasn't a smile, that was a grimace. I'm counting it as progress. He kissed the top of my head. How are you? Really? I considered the question seriously. 6 months ago, I'd been a prisoner, packless and broken, facing an impossible choice. Now I was mated, respected, helping build something meaningful from destruction. But the scars remained, emotional, social, permanent. I'm healing, I said finally. It still hurts, knowing I'll never fully belong to either pack. But I have you, and I have purpose, and I'm learning to be okay with complicated. Complicated is our specialty. Cale tilted my chin up, his eyes warm. Besides, you're not alone in the in-between. I'm the alpha who mated his enemy and forced integration on his pack. We're both walking contradictions. True. I kissed him, soft and lingering. But at least we're contradictions together. Together. He deepened the kiss, the bond flaring warm between us. I love you, Sarah. My prisoner, my mate, my perfect contradiction. I love you too. I pulled him toward the bed, laughing as he lifted me. My captor, my mate, my impossible choice that turned out to be the only right answer. Later, wrapped in his arms with the bond settled and content between us, I thought about the war that had brought us together, the betrayals that had shaped us, the unlikely peace we'd built. It wasn't a simple story, would never be simple. But it was ours, messy and complicated and earned through consequence and choice. And that made it worth every scar. The memorial stood on neutral ground, exactly between Blood Moon and Crescent territories. White stone marked with names. All the wolves lost to 5 years of manufactured war. Lyra Thorn Ridge. The 6 scouts killed with her. Hundreds of warriors on both sides, dead for politics and pride. Cale and I visited together, every full moon, to pay respects and remember the cost. We brought flowers and whispered names and let the grief wash through us, shared through the bond. She would have liked you, Cale said, standing before Lyra's name. My sister. She always said I needed someone who'd challenge me. She sounds like she was wonderful. I leaned against him, offering comfort. I wish I could have met her. She'd have been furious about the war. He wrapped his arm around me. But she'd have loved that it ended with us. That something good came from her death, even if it took 5 years. We stood in silence, honoring the dead and the living, the wolves we'd lost and the pack we'd built. The war was over. The scars remained. But we were healing, together, one complicated day at a time. Ready to go home. I asked finally. Yeah. Cale pressed a kiss to my temple. Let's go home. We walked back together, alpha and mate, former enemies now partners, carrying our history and building our future. Behind us, the memorial stood witness, a reminder of the cost of war and the hard-won value of peace. The bond pulsed warm between us, steady and certain. We'd been forged in fire, tested by betrayal, tempered through choice. And we'd emerged stronger for it, not despite our complicated beginning, but because of it. That was the truth the war had taught us. The hardest bonds, the ones earned through consequence and sacrifice, were the ones that lasted forever. And forever was exactly how long we had.